Last episode told of the sketchy brothers, along with 10K, engaging in deceit and swindling, ultimately leading to their trial in the Sinful town. They even specially invited a Scorpion, the second-in-command of Zero Group, to serve as the judge.
Stand accused of grand larceny, willful deception, and fraud. And you robbed me of the greatest golf game of my life. How do you feel about that?
It's disappointing.
You'll be acting as your own counsel.
I will, Your Honor.
How do each of you plead?
Upon hearing Sketchy's words, 10K and Skeezy are extremely astonished, while Raleigh, whose car was stolen, is immensely satisfied. However,
an explanation.
Objection! This man is a liar and a thief.
Overruled.
Damn!
Please continue.
Sketchy takes a deep breath and begins his performance. This guy's mouth definitely has the power to twist right and wrong. Instead of discussing the case directly, Sketchy brings up many well-known wrongful cases from before the apocalypse. The audience quickly empathizes with him. Sketchy's words are very moving, one by one.
Objection!
Stop interrupting.
It seems Sketchy feels a Scorpion's admiration for him. His following words become even more outrageous, turning to accuse the plaintiff.
By executing some kind of fancy flea flicker on the fine citizens of this great town. Yeah. I don't believe in the hidden ball trick like these guys. Now, if I'm going up against an opponent, I'm going right down the middle. He's gonna see me coming, by God, because I like my steak rare. Yeah. I like my whiskey straight up. Woo. I like my cars fast and my women rough. Yeah. Woo. I'm an American. North American. And I don't apologize for that. No. Yeah.
Sketchy's speech is chaotic but strangely infectious, and the audience gets excited. Sadie appeared in the back and 10K looked at her and nodded. They seem to have agreed on something. Meanwhile, during their trial, Roberta and her group finally reach Gina Bridge. Upon arrival, they see a car parked by the road, which would be great if it could be driven. Addie looks around, hoping to see if Doc has come here to meet up. The original X team has already lost too many people, and with 10K missing, if Doc isn't there, they might really have to part ways. Finally, Addie sees a figure under the bridge. Doc originally left the team to cross the river by boat in search of 10K, but the current was too strong to cross. Back in the town's courtroom, Sketchy's performance continues. This cunning man even writes a whole blackboard of text in just a few minutes, accompanied by several pictures. Sketchy, like a professor, discusses trends in loan interest rates, biology, physics, economics, chemistry, and the internet. Truly a talent. Then, throwing off his coat, he begins to praise the audience seated below.
You're honest to goodness. You're a straight shooter. You're tried and true.
Everyone nods in satisfaction, some even move to tears. It's amazing. No wonder Sketchy is doing so well in the post-apocalyptic world. Even a Scorpion nods repeatedly after listening. Sketchy enjoys the smiles and applause of the audience, thinking he has the upper hand. However,
those men are con artists and thieves! And he bit me!
Sketchy, pretending to be calm, looks back at a Scorpion, who decides his fate.
That was beautiful. But you're guilty, bro. I want to do you a favor, though. A death by hanging.
Sketchy resigns himself, thinking it was his life's highlight of deception, only to meet his downfall here. On the other side, on Gina Bridge, Doc stares blankly across, having begged the X-team to wait here for half an hour. He keeps praying for 10K to appear, not believing the kid is already dead, but the other members are getting impatient, urging Doc to get going.
I couldn't get to you. But I hope you know I tried. It ain't tough, buddy. I'm gonna miss you.
With no other choice, not knowing where to find 10K in such a big world, Doc, filled with guilt, turns to get into the car, but just then, at the other end of the bridge, a figure appears. It's Sadie from the town, carrying a large bag full of weapons. Before the trial, 10K had asked Sadie to find the X-team and bring them back for a rescue. 10 minutes later, the town's execution ground is ready. and nooses are placed around their necks. Hanging is undoubtedly one of the most painful ways to die. Sketchy is still trying to fight his way out of it. He even starts thanking his parents, turning the atmosphere from one of impending execution to something like an award acceptance speech. An audience member even starts playing sad music. Moved by the moment, Skeezy begins to express his gratitude as well. But before he can finish, a scorpion grows impatient.
It's hanging time.
Alright. Pull!
Just at this critical moment, the X-Team arrives. 10K and Sketchy fall to the ground while Skeezy dangles in the air. The whole town plunges into chaos with the turn of events. Meanwhile, Sadie, along with others, arrives at the grinding stone. Murphy waves his hands, using his power of mind to calm the zombies down. Sadie cuts the ropes, releasing the zombies, causing the onlookers to frantically seek places to hide. Doc quickly helps the fallen 10K to his feet. Sketchy struggles to stand, bending over to let Skeezy step on him. As Skeezy starts to roll his eyes back, Doc, overwhelmed with joy at finding 10K, fails to notice the Sketchy brothers' struggle. Finally, Addie, attentive as always, sees the scene and helps them out of the crisis. Everyone gets into the car and heads towards Gina Bridge, while Sadie chooses to stay behind. Sadie finds her husband, who has turned into a zombie, and helps him achieve final release. 10 minutes later, the X-Team returns to the bridgehead, only to find that the town's zombies have followed them there. Fortunately, obstacles help them buy time as everyone frantically tries to escape, except for 10K, who crawls back. He's actually worried about the Sketchy brothers. Although the Sketchy brothers swindle and deceive, they have their principles and never make a losing deal. The firearms, weapons, and vehicles are their capital for rising.
Thank you.
For what? We still haven't gotten you laid.
For everything else, then.
10K respects their choice and quickly jumps down, running towards the car. They still have the important task of saving the world. The Sketchy brothers have already loaded their magazines, ready for a big fight.
I'm thinking maybe Australia. They speak English there.
True, but it's far though.
Yeah, it is. You ready?
Sure. Why not?
In the forest, the X-Team is taking inventory of their supplies. They've been driving for a week. Now, not only is their fuel tank almost empty, but they're also out of food and bullets. Reaching California seems impossible. Everyone looks worried except for Murphy, the selfish one, who sleeps soundly in the car. Unconcerned, Doc calls out to him, and he opens his eyes. In a blur, it seemed as if he saw Doc's brain pulsating, appearing delicious. It was just a false alarm. However, it reveals that Murphy, influenced by the zombie virus, still harbors a subconscious bloodlust. Doc woke Murphy to join him in searching the woods for edible roots, but when they reach the mountain, they realize movie depictions are misleading. The tree bark is inedible. Suddenly, Murphy senses something and walks deeper into the woods. Just then, the car horn sounds below. It's Roberta urging them. Murphy doesn't respond and walks towards the direction calling him. By the time Doc gets back down, the car is ready, but he realizes Murphy didn't follow. Now's not the time to blame Doc. Finding Murphy is the priority. Atop the mountain, Murphy reaches the sensed location and finds a human brain hanging. Swallowing hard, he reaches out to take it. Murphy falls into a trap and loses consciousness. 5 minutes later, he regains some awareness, feeling something hit his face. Turning over, he sees a zombie eating a human brain, chewing meticulously like a human. Murphy calmed down. As long as it was a zombie, he wasn't afraid. But when he looks down, he sees a corpse with a gruesomely mutilated head, likely someone unfortunate who fell in and had their brain eaten by this zombie. Murphy is unsure what to do. The zombie stares blankly at Murphy, then offers him the brain. Murphy instinctively reaches out. Drawn to the brain, he hesitates, then dips a finger in the blood. What does it taste like? Murphy is torn between tasting it and not. He's still human after all, but he gives in and tastes it, feeling a rush of exhilaration. Surprisingly, he doesn't dislike the taste, even enjoying it a bit. But Murphy quickly comes to his senses, remembering that he is human, and realizing that escaping from the trap is his top priority.
Doc! Falling down the rabbit hole! That scares!
he shouted loudly, but his voice was already very weak on the ground. Plus the X-team was searching along the highway at the moment. It was even more unlikely to be heard. 3 hours later, Murphy, unable to shout any longer, simply sits down and prays with his hands clasped together. Surprisingly, the zombie opposite him starts imitating his actions. This particular zombie is clearly different from the others. It shows an ability to obey and think. After another 2 hours, Murphy was already exhausted, but suddenly the door of the trap creaked open, just as Murphy was about to ask for help. A man in protective gear rushed in, swiftly tying a rope around Murphy's neck and aggressively binding him. Murphy summoned zombies with his mind. Murphy immediately used his mind to call out, and the zombies rushed over, kicking away the stick and pouncing on the man, but the man's clothes were made of a special material that couldn't be chewed through. The man calmly drew a dagger from his waist and killed the zombie. Before Murphy could grieve, he witnessed a horrifying scene. The man cut off the zombie's head. After an unknown period, Murphy woke up with a collar around his neck, his body firmly tied to a table. There was a corpse on the adjacent operating table. As Murphy was puzzled, a man with flowing long hair walked in, holding the head of the zombie from the trap. This man was a mad scientist, constantly capturing zombies for dissection and research. He mistook Murphy for a zombie since Murphy had blue skin and patterned pupils. Without speaking, anyone would think he's a zombie. The collector, without paying attention to Murphy, picked up a saw. He was about to remove the entire skull. Murphy was terrified at this sight, convinced the man was insane. Indeed, the collector was a fanatical independent researcher. He tried joining the CDC in California with his findings but was rejected, vowing to make them regret their decision. After mumbling to himself for a bit, the collector approached Murphy's operating table to observe him. He couldn't help but be curious. Normally, zombies would become frenzied upon awakening and seeing a living person. Yet, the one before him, with unblemished skin, showed no bloodthirsty impulses. Murphy felt frustrated. He couldn't speak due to a hoarse throat and extreme thirst.
Oh, that's interesting.
The collector didn't hear him, but he had dissected many zombies and this was the first time he had seen one that could talk. He hypothesized differences in this zombie's brain and was about to dissect Murphy, hoping for a major discovery. Frightened, Murphy shook his head. The collector grew more excited, seeing fear in a zombie.
Zombie, you can do it.
Zombies asking for water seemed absurd, yet the collector poured a glass anyway. After drinking, Murphy's throat felt better, and he finally spoke up. I and my friend had a car breakdown. We were looking for food and accidentally fell into your trap, he said. Upon hearing this, the collector immediately realized that this guy wasn't a zombie, but he wasn't disappointed. He was even more excited than before. He then brought a recorder to Murphy's ear, playing a recording from Citizen Z that had broadcasted his information worldwide.
There's a man traveling among you. He's the only human known to have survived a zombie bite. His blood has the antibodies to create a vaccine. It is imperative that he be transported alive to the Centers for Disease Control lab in California.
The collector quickly surmised that this person might be the legendary half-human, half-zombie Murphy. However, to be sure, he needed to verify. Seeing the zombie bite marks, the collector completely lost his composure. Realizing he had found the perfect subject for his experiments, his demeanor towards Murphy softened significantly, no longer restraining him. But if Murphy tried anything, he'd flick a switch in his hand and the collar would release an electric current, so he wasn't worried about Murphy escaping. Murphy, preferring to endure less suffering, mentioned his poor relationship with the CDC and agreed to cooperate unconditionally with the collector's research.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. You can relax, Mr. Murphy.
Can I?
Yes. Because I don't want the bounty. I just want to know what it is to be you.
Then, the collector gave Murphy a tour of the house, showcasing his prized collections. Strangely, 3 animal zombies appeared vaguely familiar to Murphy, as if he had seen them before. The collector also showed his collection of well-known zombie movies, like the genre's pioneers White Zombie, Night of the Living Dead, and Dawn of the Dead, all classics. After the tour, Murphy learned about the availability of running water and decided to indulge in a long overdue bath. Meanwhile, Team X was going insane, having searched the entire area without finding any traces. 10 minutes later, Murphy emerged comfortably, having not bathed for 2 years, and changed into clothes provided by the collector. Just then, there was a commotion outside, likely the collector dissecting zombies. Initially, Murphy paid it no mind, until he noticed bloodstains on the window. Realizing something might have gone wrong, he came out to take a look. Murphy realized the opportunity had come. He quickly picked up the rope snare and the switch for the collar from the ground.
Have I been talking to myself? You are their pawn!
I am nobody's pawn!
So, I'm gonna leave you two. I'll see myself out. It's a left down the stairs and to the right. Right?